All right, this is just going to be all over the place because that's where I am with enrolling my daughter in school. It's been a super challenging thing. I somehow ended up behind the 8 ball, and I think it's the most important thing a parent does. I guess I should start with where I come from when it comes to school. I don't think I was ever supposed to be a smart guy. My parents got me into a private school when I was going into kindergarten. I failed kindergarten and repeated kindergarten at that same private school. I ended up going to that school through 4th grade. I was an average student. I remember failing a book report about bug juice, and I did a report about the human heart that I had to rewrite twice, and then once that was pretty decidedly a failure, they let me switch to writing a report about the duck-billed platypus. I don't know how in 4th grade you can not write a good report about the heart, but somehow I did that. Anyway, after leaving that school, we moved to Nashville, and I went to a public school. And in that school, suddenly I was considered gifted or honors, only because I spent the previous year learning the stuff that they were teaching us in 5th grade. So it's not that I was smarter, it's just I'd already gone through the stuff. That got me in the honors, that got me in the gifted, that got me in the AP, that got me to see myself as smart. And so, right, I secreted that, I guess, or that was what you believe is what you become. So it's really the school that I went to that I feel is the reason that I have gotten where I've gotten in my life. And that is why figuring out Augustine's school from the beginning is so important to me. A lot of people say stuff like the school that you go to isn't as important as the parents, or that having a book at home puts you in the 90th percentile above other families. I don't believe that for 2 reasons. One is a lot of people can have a book in their home, it doesn't really make a difference. 2, if that is true, it is completely unimportant to me, because if it's 90% of the families are below having a book in their home, I'm not concerned about those families. I'm only concerned about the 10% who do have a book in their home and rising to the top of that group. So here I am, behind schedule, trying to figure out how to put my daughter in school. Here in LA County, it's just not simple. It's not just enrolling your kid in any school. It's figuring out what school you want your kid to go to, figuring out the lottery system, deciding what their emphasis should be. I've had to decide if I want my daughter to be, as a pre-kindergartner, arts magnet, STEM magnet, or just a regular school, which is a 4. If we go to the school that's in our neighborhood, she goes to a 4. Luckily, I happen to have decided to look into this finally the last day of registration here, still late for LA County as a whole. And now I'm basically a tweaker standing in the parking lot of a 7-Eleven with a scratcher ticket, hoping that when I rub it off, it reveals that my daughter will get into a STEM program. It's scary. The weight that I've put on this, that I think that this holds, is like really terrifying. And I feel most parents are kind of in my situation. I know what I don't want in a school. I can see what I would like in a school that I can't afford, and so I have to strike a balance. And that's hard. It's really hard to see stuff that you want to give your kid and not be able to give it to them. And it's hard to see schools that are 4s and think that that might be where your kid goes. I don't think there's going to be a way that I figure this situation out that satisfies me. Even if she gets into the lottery for this STEM program, it's not a school I'm super excited about sending her to. It's just better than the 4 school that is around the corner here. And you just hope for the best. You just hope for the best. And maybe in hoping for the best is when you get to the other side of what the reports and the doctors and other people say, that the parents really are what make the difference. If you have a good teacher, you have to have a parent that activates the kid to do the learning. So while I don't think looking at schools as, it doesn't matter, the parents are what makes the difference, I think looking at it as, if we can get her in a good school, then I can help her take the best advantage of that school. So it's got to be a mix of those two things. I mean, anyway, we're just looking at TK right now. TK is this thing here in Los Angeles that didn't even exist a decade ago. It's like a pre-kindergarten for basically a 4-month span of kids. If all else fails, we can just pull her out, put her back in preschool, and start again next year, months earlier than I started this year. So we'll see. But a lot of parents in the country and in the world are going through what I'm going through right now, which is enrolling their kids. And it's not all just for TK. I mean, most kids are looking at really starting next year, and it's scary. So for all you parents out there looking to find the right school and hoping to do right by your kids, and maybe second guessing some of the life choices you made that ruled out some of the options for schooling, I feel you. It's hard. It's real hard, and you're not wrong to think it's hard, and you're not wrong to put a huge onus on figuring out the right school. I think we're going to get through this, although even from where I'm standing now, I don't see how that's possible, but I have to believe that collectively we're going to get through this. And working together, even if we end up in the schools that we're not most excited about, we can make the school the best experience for our kids as a community.